Hurricane, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks brilliant. Give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my head again. Is it wrong? Is it right? It's like I've won my final war without a fight. I'm out of control, about to blow. I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. I know you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my head. Get you out of my head.
Please note.
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Fools are calling that I don't seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. So tell me the storm is coming, I'm sick of all your lies. Why don't you try to be wise? Know that I need you anyway. I never wanted to be alive, just to feel like I'm fading. And though my heart breaks, I'll beat it down. I cross the ledge just to tell you, don't lead the way, don't leave a say. Then I try with a child playing the rain. I feel like I'm fading.
And boom, just like that, it's Thursday night, and you know what that means. It's party time with us. We're the Video Bros. I'm Bobby Munson, and that man beside me, you know him. He's the man with the angelic voice. He's Papa Smokes. Papa Smokes, happy Thursday. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, Munson. Happy Thursday to you also. And a special shout out to all the wrestling people out there, because that's what we're here to do tonight. Talk a little wrestling.
And we're going to be talking wrestling with our guest this evening. You know him from taking over on Tuesday nights
Woo.
and Marvel Talk every other Wednesday or so. It's our good friend, Ed. How are you doing, Ed?
Doing well. Very excited to talk about this show. There's some interesting things to talk about on this show.
I'll say.
There's some delightfully interesting things to talk about on this show. I had
Bobby might have found the newest tag team for PPW.
Oh, good God. I mean, yeah. I mean, you know what though? I mean, there's more to talk about on that tag team scene than just the obvious. If we're gonna get to it, I'm stoked to talk about this because I had a lot of fun watching this whole thing. Like again, the feeling of it, Ed, like when I'm watching it too, like the audience feels like it's approximately similar in size to Prairie Pro Wrestling. It really has that same kind of size venue-ish type feel to it, with a similar setup to what we're trying to do and everything like that. And it felt like home to me. Watching it felt like home to me.
Yeah. When I was in Methuen, they said that they sold out standing room only and seating. And I think that they had said that they had reached the capacity for the building, which was somewhere close to 250.
It very similar then, because we're at about 250 to 280 somewhere in there, I think, for capacity. I can't remember what it is. There's a certain level that we can get to, and then with the staff included, that's our fire capacity. So it's almost dead on exactly the exact same thing. So crazy. That's awesome. And hello, as Astrid's joining us up in the house. How are you doing, Astrid? Welcome to the show. Speaking of Astrid, guess what's planned for next Thursday, Papa Smokes? You want to let people know?
I would like to know, is this our first announcement of this formally, Munson?
I believe we've alluded to it or said it, but I'll let you go ahead and let the world know, Papa Smokes, what's coming up next Thursday.
Okay, well, 1 week from tonight, next Thursday, will be the next installment of Trip Through the Territories. And continuing with a little bit of international feel, we're going with Puerto Rico this time. And with us, the special guest, Astrid Pizarro. So excited for this.
Oh, yes. It's been planned for a while. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great show. So make sure that you're joining us next Thursday night as well. And then who knows, Papa Smokes, the Thursday after that happens to be a couple of days before Prairie Pro Wrestling's next event. Prairie Pro Wrestling presents Double Arm Dragon, one of the best names we've come up with yet for one of our non-big shows anyway, kind of thing. I actually really enjoyed this name for once. Looking forward to it. It's going to be an exciting time. Lots to unfold. And again, Papa Smokes, did you see the announcement today? I know Ed did, but our own champion, Michael Allen Richard Clark, just announced to be doing the Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling event coming up this spring.
Yeah, I did see the announcement. How very exciting, but not all that surprising. That guy's flirting with big success in bigger companies. I hope we get to hold on to him for a while longer, but I wish him all the best. That's really exciting news. And really going to the core of Canadian wrestling down there in Toronto, where they've always been very, very successful.
Yeah, and maybe, just maybe, we might have to rent said weekend of events there and possibly do a review. It's a possibility. Yeah, let's keep it in mind anyway. It'd be a good time for it.
Speaking of them, didn't Jade Chung just join the broadcast team in some form of capacity? Josh Alexander's wife.
Oh, really?
If I remember correctly.
I didn't see that.
Hold on. Let me do a double check. Got to get on the old Twitter machine.
She is or was a wrestler at some point, wasn't she?
Yes.
Yo, what's up, BDJ's in the house? Thanks for joining us, brother. Glad that you're here with us to talk chaotic wrestling. It's just looking something up real quick.
Jade Chung is joining the broadcast team of Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling as we start the road to the Northern Rising in Windsor, Ontario, with Mayhem on the 14th and 15th.
Nice. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. I think they did great last time out, and I'm curious to see what they've got planned this time around. And again, I'm always going to go and try to do my best to support people that I've worked with in the industry again. And congratulations to Michael Allen Richard Clark on the booking there. And I mean, putting him over the way they did, getting his own little introduction video there, a big shout out on their social, as well as mentioning that, you know, somebody who has worked for Ring of Honor and worked for All Elite Wrestling as well too. So big credits to his name in that announcement as well.
And I like the return of Maple Leaf Wrestling in the way that it might, at least I have the feeling it will put a spotlight on some of the Canadian wrestling talent that is trying to get over in the States, and that's a much bigger swimming pool to deal with kind of thing. But this could be good for all the burgeoning Canadian talent that we have that's trying to get a foothold in the business.
Yeah, just don't pluck all our talent too quick here. We do need some.
Yeah.
No,
PDJ Ed, he's saying he wants his trivia title back.
I mean, put them Dukes up.
That's
Look,
all
Bobby,
right.
I even went out and I got myself a whiteboard for trivia now.
Oh, sweet.
I
Nice.
spent the whole $1.25 at the dollar store too.
So I guess arguably, if we're doing trivia this month, we got to call it for the 27th of February.
I mean, we don't have to do trivia this month. I just want to be prepared for Mania season.
But if we don't do trivia this month, then we can't get Mark to sponsor the trivia this month for the
then we
10
have to
pounds
do trivia for the 27th.
donation. So we're going to make sure to go forward with it. Not that I'm trying to bleed Mark of all of his money, but he did.
But we're trying to bleed Mark of all of his money.
He wanted to do this nice thing for 12 shows, and we're going to make sure we deliver on those 12 shows for him. But yeah, so gentlemen, are we ready to talk some chaotic wrestling?
We are.
Always ready to talk chaotic wrestling.
Sounds good. Ed, before we dig into the show itself, for those who aren't familiar yet, might be watching on replay or joining us live here, give us a little background on chaotic wrestling and the area that it broadcasts out of.
Yeah, so Chaotic Wrestling is started from a music festival. The promotion itself's first official appearance was at a music festival where they did an outdoor wrestling show. And that was in, I believe, 2001. And they've been going strong for 20 some odd years. Rich Palladino's been there pretty much every step of the way.
Nice.
Great man. And they've been a feeder system at points for the World Wrestling Federation. People like Ivar, people like Tommaso Ciampa, Matt Taven, Kofi Kingston, all kinds of talent that you know and love in all forms of professional wrestling, including even people like Mercedes Moné, have made appearances and have spent a considerable amount of time in chaotic wrestling.
Yeah.
We have on this show, we have a former world champion who's come back after what seems like, I want to say 8 or 9 years that he hasn't worked for Chaotic, coming back, and he's in the main event tonight's show. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff happening. Recently, 2 of their superstars got named in the WWE ID program with Evil Gay Aaron Rourke and Ricky Smoke Show Smokes. So, and we'll see him in the main event as our reigning defending champion. A lot of good stuff here. Just a bare bones indie promotion that does things, in my mind, does things the right way. Ticket prices are fair and reasonable. They've got food. They've got a loyal, crowd base that almost always fills these arenas. And they don't always go after the flashy name on the independent scene, but they always make sure to bring back the people who are bringing in tickets.
Yeah. And again, that's one thing I did notice too, watching through this. There's a lot of talent that you can see are very new. And I don't mean very new, like you can see their imperfections. Very new as in they're ready to be out there, but they've got a lot of developing. They're young, and that with time they're only going to get better too. And there was a lot of that featured on the show, and I like that there's heavily featured young talents throughout the night.
Yeah.
So let's get right down to it, gentlemen. The night opens up with PV Drago. I hope I'm saying that right. This is the team of Paris
PV
Van Dale and Drago taking
No,
on.
you said his name wrong. It is Drago is the best.
Drago
His last name is the best.
okay. Drago is the best.
Drago
Got it.
is the best.
Okay, gotcha. Right. So taking on the Shooter Boys, and we got a little song at the beginning of this one. I thought this was quite entertaining. Paris, please leave Dante and be the first Shooter Girl is the proposal on the table here. Commentary had fun throughout this night. Man.
Commentary was both very good and very bad at times. So Rich DeLuise is not normally on the shows. Recently, because of unforeseen and unforgivable circumstances, they've been kind of filtering through other people to work with Pat Matthews. Yeah. They've seemed to settle on former Chaotic Heavyweight Champion Julian Starr, who does fantastic work on the broadcast. However, they brought back an old friend from the early days of chaotic. And Rich was questionable during portions of this night. They had a lot of fun during a couple of matches, all of which included the GGC. And we'll get to that. Oh boy, will we get to that. But yes,
Yeah.
Rich indeed had his moments, and early on in this show, Rich was a delight. Rich turns not to not be a delight so shortly afterwards.
Yeah, there was a lot of things said on commentary where I was like, they do a good job of, at least like as a newer viewer to chaotic wrestling, giving me some history behind certain people in the ring, why I should be invested in this particular match. A+ there. But then there was times with, when we get to the countdown clock and stuff like that, that it got a whole world of messy up in that booth.
That fits the bill for that tag tournament. We talked about it off air last week about how convoluted and funky this tournament was. And not explaining the how this was going to work to your commentary team beforehand may have been the biggest oopsie that Chase made in this entire. I think it's the only oopsie that Chase made in this entire show was not making sure that the commentary team knew exactly what was going to happen going into that.
Oh, well, yeah, and we'll get to that right away, actually, because it does happen here pretty quick. But back to this matchup here, Papa Smokes, I want to know what did you think of the opening match of the night?
Well, pretty cool. Well, I've seen Paris Van Dale a couple of times on the previous shows. Ed and I have watched here. She's good. They didn't let her talk very much, but she's pretty good. I also thought the Shooter Boys looked good. Again, not a super experienced tag team at this point, but the guy that did most of the talking and the singing had quite a lot of charisma to him, and they worked well as a tag team. I thought these guys looked good and showed some promise.
Yeah, and again, like the match itself, it was enough that it seemed everybody was well invested into it. It had some good pace to kick off a show and everything like that. And knowing what we had coming up with this tournament and the main event and everything like that, a lot of heavy stuff going down on the particular card. It was nice to have this to open the show up, and they gave a history about why it's so important for Paris, and Drago is the best.
Drago is the best.
All right. Why it was so important for them after not picking up the tag team championships, why it was important for them to get back to winning ways here in this matchup, which they inevitably did as well, too. So this was a great way to kick off the show. Your thoughts on this one, Ed?
I mean, I love these guys. Paris and Drago are just... So this is Paris's first run as a babyface in a long time. She was a long reigning heel in the Panoptic division for a long time. She lost her championship. She had the record number of defenses and a record number of her reign. I'm just getting the exacts on here. She had a 511-day reign with the Panoptic Championship, which is a version of a women's championship, but it's not because it's men and women both competing for it. And it was her second reign with it. So her being able to go ahead and have some fun with Drago, who's just one of the most charismatic young men in the world. And by the way, that when they come out to the ring and you're hearing the Copacabana mockery that he did that live. They recorded it, and now it's their entrance music for the tag team.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Which is why the Shooter Boys did their remix of it.
Okay. That makes even more sense now.
Anthony Vecchio is tremendous. I think he's got a big future. Aaron Ortiz is fantastic. I always think of Papa Smokes when I see them because they're these old school, like, grappling wrestlers.
Yeah.
Yes, they do a bit of high flying. Yes, they do a bit of this and that. But up until now, they've been developing personality into them because they are transplants from the Creative Pro Wrestling Academy. If I remember correctly, that's run by Brian Myers and Pat Buck. It produced people like MJF. Gabby Forza, Aaron Rourke are all people that have come from Creative Pro. So it's a nice little back and forth between these two promotions, going ahead and giving talent back and forth. I love PV Drago. They're just so much fun. It's nice to see Paris laughing and having fun because her as a babyface is so eye-opening because of her incredible heel run, where all we wanted to do was see her shut up and see her get beaten down. And now she has the opportunity to talk, and she doesn't talk anymore,
Yeah.
which is just hysterical.
It really is. Yo, Basser's in the house. How's it going, Basser?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us here tonight. Yeah, it was a great way to kick things off. Then after that matchup, we find out I don't know if this is, you'll have to let us know. Was this good news or bad news that Brad Cashew is officially boycotting Chaotic Wrestling and will not appear or wrestle tonight? He was supposed to fight Mortar, right? Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what will happen now? That was the next question. Little background on this. Why is Brad Cashew upset with Chaotic Wrestling, and why is he boycotting it here?
Because he has little peanuts. No. So Mr. Peanut Brad Cashew, he's been on a bit of a losing streak. But the greatness of this losing streak is that all of these things are things that aren't his fault. So at first, the ring girl accidentally left one of the wrestlers' shirts on the side of the ring apron that he took off mid-match. Brad goes for his shellacker finish. His feet get caught up in the shirt. He falls down, loses the match. The next show, our good friend Rich Palladino, wonderful man. I met him at the NXT show. He was there live, taking in some wrestling without having to work. Always nice for him.
Always nice for anyone.
He was at ringside, being the ring announcer as normal, and he accidentally dropped the ring bell. So the bell hits the ground, and of course, as you know, in a wrestling facility, if the ring bell hits the ground, it's going to make a sound.
Yep.
So Brad thinks the match is over, looks over, gets rolled up. He continues to have these bad luck losing things where something chaotic and random happens that should never happen in a wrestling match. In the qualifications for the Pandemonium match that was last month, Brad was taking on Mortar. Mortar had him in a sharpshooter. Brad got to the side of the ring, but couldn't reach the ropes, so he grabbed the ring skirt. Mortar then decided, well, he's not on the ropes, ref's not telling me to break, so he pulled him back to the middle of the ring, pulling the ring skirt halfway across the ring. Brad at this point can't take the pain any longer and taps. And so he loses his opportunity to be in Pandemonium. Although he believes, and potentially rightfully so, that if to grab the ring skirt, that means that he must have crossed the plane of the ropes, which means that the hold should have been broken. So he's been on this justice for Cashew thing, which involved in him trying to get involved in Pandemonium, entering himself in Pandemonium as an unauthorized entrant, and making havoc for all the other people in the match. But he lost because he was indeed pinned, even though Anthony Green counted the pin because the referee was like, I'm not counting this. This isn't something I have to do. So it sounds like it sounds like Brad's not coming to the arena for a while, which, to be honest, most of the fans will enjoy.
There we go. Great explanation. So now that we know that, now we get to talk about something I really want to talk about. We get to talk about the start of the Crown Jewel Challenge and what might now be my favorite new tag team on the scene, the Monarchy. These two are jerks. Absolute jerks. They are greasy, heelish, slimy jerks, and I love every second of it. This whole thing had me busting a gut throughout it in all the best ways, especially with them standing at the top of the rampway with their throne and their stupid scroll that they kept announcing more and more entries that were sent into them with each time they went to the scroll. At first, it started with thousands of names. Then it was tens of thousands of names. Then it was amongst the millions of names the wrong said scroll.
Yeah.
This was brilliant. And for them to cast this whole tournament where they get to choose 8 random wrestlers for singles competition, and the 2 fastest victories will then be paired in a team afterwards to go in a match against the champions who get to make up a set of rules that favor them every single time. Fuck, these guys are fantastic. The both of them. This is such great heel work. And again, before we get into the matches, I want your guys' thoughts on the Monarchy. Papa Smokes, you first, man.
Oh yeah, a lot of the similar thoughts. They remind me, Munson, a little bit of our New Zealand friend James Shaw in his Golden Path to Enlightenment little posse that he's got there. Just slimy con men, liars, boastful, arrogant jerks. Like, yeah, very well done. I like the way they stayed out and watched the matches as well. Kind of gave a cool little feel to it, but very, very good stuff. And I wanted to ask you guys too what you thought of this little mini tournament that they put on. Pretend you have the booking book and the pencil for a minute. Why are you setting up this small little tournament? I have a couple of ideas, but what do you guys think about 4 singles matches and then the 2 quickest winners becoming a tag team for a tag team shot that night? Seems a little convoluted, but as a little mini tournament, what do you think they're doing with the booking here?
I think it's exactly what it's supposed to be. They're literally trying to piss everybody off by being like, we're going to make sure that anybody who takes us on, whoever might win, doesn't know each other or like each other. No chance to form a game plan.
Yeah. And I think also, again, to what you're saying, Papa Smokes, it's an opportunity to put more faces out in the ring that are back there with a legitimate reason why you can get these matches done in a quicker amount of time. You can run through the gauntlet a little bit faster and allow people the opportunity without really destroying their credibility either side, because everybody's going for the fast pin intentionally instead of trying to break an opponent down like you regularly would.
That's kind of what I thought as well. It seemed like such a perfect opportunity. A number of the wrestlers in this looked like they were young, looked like they were training and coming out of their training and stuff like that. If you've got a bunch of those faces, get work for them. You can't put them on every card, especially the big ones. But if you can make a little mini tournament like this, put them in some shorter matches, it gets them in front of the crowd. It gets them doing their matches in front of people and in front of the cameras as well. And I don't know if that's exactly what the purpose was of this, but I have the feeling that this was a showcase of sorts.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Some of the names clearly weren't exactly showcase either, because, I mean, opening up, we got Seabass Finn taking on Harmony Chaos. Ed, I want to know a little bit of background with these two. I know I've heard you mention Seabass Finn before, or Mr. Filet Fish himself, as we would learn his name is afterwards.
Seabass Finn is the SOB of the 603, which is the Southern New Hampshire area code to which he grew up in the area, not too far away. He's fantastic. He worked when New Japan Strong came to Lowell and did their Fighting Spirit show. He was one of the few local guys who got to go on that show and work that show. So he got a big show there. That's where Andre found him, and Andre's a big fan of him now after having seen him on that Fighting Spirit Unleashed show. Armani Chaos is great. Armani Chaos has been a babyface. He's been a heel. He's been a babyface. He worked with Paris Van Dale years ago in the right after the pandemic, in the 2021 era of Chaotic. He was working with Paris Van Dale. They were a group. He's fun. He's great. He just got out of a different version of God's Greatest Creation. He was a tag team champion for a long time. They turned on him, and that's what started the new God's Greatest Creation that we'll see in a little while. This is a fun match of two guys who are both baby faces, which I think is interesting with the bookings of some of these. They're not all heel face. A lot of times, a lot of this is a lot of baby faces. So I thought that was really interesting work done here.
Yeah. So this one initially sets the timer at 7 minutes, 39 seconds, which this was about the most accurate portion of the time clock that I think commentary was entitled to throughout this thing. So yeah, sets it at 7 minutes, 39 seconds. Seabass Finn is your victor. Next up, they picked the two competitors, Jose Zamora and Livia. Again, you guys have a great women's division. I just want to say that right now. You have some great female talent there in chaotic wrestling.
And believe it or not, Shannon Levangie, who's one of the stars of that women's division, is still out injured after tearing up her limbs on the last show that me and Papa Smokes reviewed at Cold Fury last year. Yes, Dara, it was basically a beat the clock chat. So it was a singles tournament to make two people a tag team, but the two people that were chosen to be the tag team were done via beat the clock, as opposed to having like an actual tournament with brackets and stuff. It, like I said, it was convoluted for a reason. The heels were the ones running the bullshit, so they were like, "We're gonna put as many fucking roadblocks into this as we possibly can."
I know they did.
Is fantastic. As heels, there's nothing better than things like that.
Yeah. So again, I wanted to mention this, and I want to get I want to go to you next, Papa Smokes, with this one. So Livia looks great in this. I was talking about the women's division, but Jose Zamora, this guy comes out. This guy doing his whole social media. I'm gonna broadcast this thing. The only thing I thought they might have done differently is that he could have got pinned even faster because of his distraction to his social media setup. I thought that the roll-up pin could have just ended the match right there and have him completely embarrassed without ever really discrediting him, because he's a young guy that took his eye off the prize in what needs to be a beat the clock challenge. Inevitably, that's what happens. I mean, what was it, 4 minutes, and we probably had 6 or 7 different times. I think in the end it was 4 minutes 38 seconds, but we got a whole bunch of different times given to us because the way it was working was counting down from the previous time or whatever it was. That was the way it was working, but nobody let the poor commentary team know about this. And did they start cracking jokes about it the entire time.
At least I give them credit. At least they understood that they looked like fools and went with it. They're like, we're professionals at this. The best part is Rich DeLuise. And again, one of the great moments of Rich DeLuise. We're professionals at it. I know you think you can do this better than us, but we know you can't. I love that line because it made me think of you two and being like, yeah, we could. We do this for a living.
No. Seriously, it's not easy. Again, especially in a live capacity, like we can sit there and do pre-records like we do. But if we make an error or we decide that we don't like something we chose to do, we can go back and fix said error. These guys were broadcasting live on Twitch, so they had no choice but to roll with the punches. And so all the credit to them for being able to do that, adapt, and have a good laugh at it at the same time. I applaud them for what they did.
Yeah. Jose Zamora, by the way, I just want to talk about this real quick for this. This is his third show for Chaotic. Well, I'm going to assume third show, because I would assume he was on the charity show that they do. So they only broadcast the regular shows, but every now and then they do a charity show at a school where they raise money for something. And they don't broadcast those shows. If you don't show up, you don't know what happens. They bring a lot of old veterans back for those shows, like Brian Malonis and people like that aren't on the roster anymore. But this is essentially Jose Zamora's like second outing with this new The Spotlight gimmick. And I think he's doing a fantastic job trying to get it over, considering he just recently graduated from the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. As Papa Smoke says, the fact, like you guys know with PPW, having a wrestling school type thing or having a program where you teach it, it's great to see these kids come through it and then get rewarded by having matches on the shows.
Yep.
Jose Zamora is one of those talents. We'll talk more about some of the others as we go. I think he's great. It's just such a culture shock because before Pandemonium, the last time we saw Jose Zamora, he was wearing his Puerto Rico tights. He was this, rah, baby face. And now all of a sudden, hard cut. Now he's this social media Logan Paul-esque superstar who's videotaping his matches and wearing a GoPro on his chest, which again is such douchebaggery that it's amazing. This is coming from a kid who's just getting into the business.
Yeah. And I love the fact that commentary the whole time, they're like, he's one of those jerks at the gym that if the referee gets in front of his camera, he's going to lose his shit. Like, I thought that was a hilarious touch too. But yeah, Papa Smokes, your thoughts on Jose Zamora and Livia?
Yeah, good. I agree with you guys. I like Zamora. He's young, and his gimmick reflects that, right? Like I would never think to do a gimmick like this, but someone younger than me would think of this because, as Ed said, ultimate douchebag, the guy that's filming himself all the time, obsessed with himself, thinks everybody wants to see his every move at every time. It's so slimy. I love it. But Livia shows a lot of promise as well. I like her look. I like her presentation. She's got some seasoning still to be had in the ring, as most wrestlers do, but looking great at this point, and just more testament to the effort that they're putting into their women's division in actually developing it and turning out some girls that could easily be stars in bigger companies in the days and years to come.
Yeah, you bet. So yeah, at 4 minutes 38 seconds, Livia gets the victory. Now is the set time to beat kind of situation. And then we get the third match, which became kind of the most confusing part of this all because
I
we
can't
have
wait to talk about
DJ Powers versus the Big Cheese. And
Oh man.
I gotta ask, guys, if we haven't got, like, again, these two went to the 4 minutes and 38-second clock, and when it ran out, they called this a draw. And I was wondering, I'm like, but what if they came in at 5 minutes and then they beat the first team, and then whoever goes last doesn't beat the 5 minute? Would it essentially someone here be anyway? Beside that point,
you're preaching. This is the problem with booking everything beforehand, is you oopsie accidentally. But again, it works perfectly in this gimmick with the monarchy, because when the match ends and nobody knows what's going on, the monarchy is just literally sitting here on the microphone,
done with them,
telling them to get rid of them, tell the children to go in the back. Like, it's so great.
And I don't know. I don't know if that was scripted for them or because the two of them are fighting that they just decided to get on the microphone and start talking, because it feels like they're actually very quick-witted with a lot of what they say. Like, some of it just on the spot is they're playing that role.
Hear the responses to the things the crowd says to them during some of their matches. Ariel didn't get a lot of opportunity to talk here.
No.
But my God, during the matches, she doesn't shut up.
Yeah. It's BMT, right?
Yes,
yeah.
BMT.
So him on that microphone all night long, calling people Filet-O-Fish, juvenile delinquents, things like that. Just his little jabs at everybody throughout the night were fantastic. But Papa Smokes, what did you think of this draw match between DJ Powers and the Big Cheese, as the two of them tried about 10,000 roll-ups on each other to try to get the match over with?
Yeah, well, it made logical sense in a way because these two were in a hurry, right? Just as everybody was to try and get the win. So trying all the roll-ups, trying various things. You notice that the Big Cheese is quite popular amongst the crowd. I haven't seen this guy's stuff before, but the crowd was loving it. The announcers were loving it, doing the whole Sopranos accent and everything the whole time. They were down with it, but yeah, I'm more curious after this match to see what the big deal is about the Big Cheese. Obviously, he's a favorite with the local crowd.
He's one of the newer guys. He's been there about a year or so. Ever since I've been going, he seems to have just started to pop up. A lot of times in the beginning of when I started going to these shows, he would show up and complain he didn't have a match and then get beat up by whoever was just out in the ring.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter who it was. Everybody would just beat him up. And he never really had an official match. Just like he would just get beat up. The crowd would chant to 3 when he got pinned, and everything would stop and he'd go to the back. Then all of a sudden he started defending the right people. He helped. He was like a Detective Santino at one point, trying to figure out who stole Ricky Smokes' briefcase. When Ricky Smokes was doing the the $5,000 challenge, all kinds of the Big Cheese is fantastic, and he's just so lovable, and he's got energy, and he's got charisma, and he's dancing, and whoa during the matches. The crowd, you guys know, if a wrestler has a thing that they do something, and then the crowd gets to do it, they instantly become a star.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Jey Uso.
Yeah.
He added yeet to his thing, and now he's a WrestleMania potential main eventer because of the fact that he added a call and response to his thing.
Something
Big
that the
Cheese
people
is
can
great.
get behind and connect with. That's what it comes down to.
DJ Powers is he's so talented in wrestling version, so egotistical that it's so great. And the best part is they've brought him in now 5 or 6 times, and every time they bring him in, even Rich gets in on the screwing with him portion, where they'd be like, and coming to the ring now, Livia, and they'll give a big introduction to her, and DJ Powers is here too. So they've been purposely making him try to feel like he's less than Livia because her dad is a former tag team champion in Chaotic.
Yeah.
So
that's fun.
they're purposely trying to make him feel bad, so it makes him an arrogant asshole to the point where, like, at one of the shows I was at for over the Christmas time, he sat her in the corner in a chair, and then at one point demanded that she get out of said chair and hand him the chair so that he could use it because it was a triple threat match. To which she goes, "No, you told me to sit in my chair. I'm going to sit in my chair." And they've been teasing this where, oh my God, she's going to, it's like he grabbed her by the hair after one show and like dragged her out of the arena. All kinds of just shit douchebag stuff. Again, I keep using that word because that's what a lot of these guys feel like to me. Just an arrogant asshole who thinks he's better than everybody else. Watched way too much Shawn Michaels growing up because he's got the earring and like the hold shirt that he had coming out to the ring. But he's ultra talented, and he's fantastic in the ring. And he's been doing a lot of good work over the past year or so, as is Livia. And his character work is on point.
Awesome. Okay, last match of this tournament thing or section. We got Calvin Dumont taking on Spike, and what is referred to by BMT as a time quicker than it took Rich Palladino to conceive his last child. Spike pulls a quick victory over Calvin Dumont. Again, this was great. I knew one of the matches had to go fast like this. So when they got to this last one, I'm like, and I saw Spike come on, I'm like, I see what they're going with here. I think Spike's going to get the fast one here. They're going to team Spike and Livia. And then, yeah, again, that is what happens. And what a pairing, too. I thought that the two of them pairing, and we'll talk about their match soon, was great and so much to unfold there. But yeah, this was quick. Papa Smokes, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, well, it looked like they wanted to elevate Spike a little bit, at least for the near future, maybe even just for that show, but giving her a little squash match. But it also worked into the entire angle that they were doing where there wasn't much time left and they needed one more winner. But Spike looked cool. Came out all black, looking badass with the headband and everything. You kind of had the idea, yeah, this girl looks tough. So she came out, got the knockout, got the pin and all that. And then now we have 2 ladies on a team going against a man and a lady in the finals here. Should be interesting.
Yep.
The great thing about Spike is that, as I said in commentary for the next match that she is in, she's recently back from working with Sendai girls in Japan. So she's on this new elevated kick where she graduated not too long ago from the Pro Wrestling Academy. She did a couple matches. She ended up getting the opportunity to go to Japan. She's come back as Spike Nishimura, and she's just been different. She's got the charisma. She's got the attitude. She's got an upgraded in-ring set. And again, we see it more later on when we see the tag match. But here, it was great because it was closing off a storyline that we've been kind of left open for the last 2 or 3 months, where she was the hired muscle for Calvin Dumont. Mm-hmm. Because Calvin Dumont is the rich kid but he's not rich. Daddy's rich, and he's spending all of Daddy's money, which is why he comes out to the Backstreet Boys, because that's a, you know, big money song. In theory, if pro wrestlers on the indie scene were, you know, licensing their music, using something like that would cost lots of money. And he's got like the big robe and everything else. So he acts like he's big and bad. He tries to offer people money so that he can win matches, and they always decline, and they take the money anyways. It's great. He's the perfect whooping boy. And in this case, he got whooped.
Yeah. Well, it was a fantastic way to start this whole thing off. And then soon we'll be talking about that tag match, because that's coming up in a couple more. But up next, we get the music of Anthony Green playing as he comes down to the ring. He wants to fight the GGC, and he sounds like he really doesn't care if he fights them alone, if he has partners on his side. But then Trigger, the OG, comes out, and he's going to stand by the side of Mr. Anthony Green to take on 2 members of the GGC, despite the fact that 3 members of the GGC come on out. But then Mortar, who has nothing else to do because Cashew decided he's boycotting the company, decides he's got nothing to do either. And this becomes a 3v3 match, I guess. Commentary was all over the place, not knowing if this was official, if it had started. We had all sorts of convoluted chaos throughout this match, but there was a lot of talent out there in this situation. A lot of talent. A lot of these dudes have a good thing going on. Hello, Millie, joining us here tonight. Thank you for joining us on a Thursday. I really appreciate you. But yeah, Papa Smokes, I want to get your thoughts on this matchup.
Pretty cool match. I liked this heel faction to a certain extent. The GGC, they have the whole kind of paranormal, evil, cult-like thing going on. What's the deal with that purple kind of wizard they had at the ringside? What was that person's name?
So Octarus is the new leader of this faction. So originally they were originally just like a tag team with a singles guy who was in a wheelchair from an injury. Jerry Rivera, who we'll see in the next match, is the guy who was in the wheelchair. He was the one who stood up at the Cold Fury show that we watched before Papa Smokes.
Yeah.
So we saw the heel turn on Amani Chaos for that show. After a little while, they brought in Octarus, who used to be Max Smashmaster on the indie scene. He's done a lot of fun, interesting stuff. He runs his own wrestling promotion. So he's like this overarching, like, cult-like villain, as you said. They bring out this sludge that they bring out to recruit new people. And it's all done via backstage stuff during the things. And so they have the 2 orphans of chaos, Manus and Mensis, which commentary had a way too much fun with Mensis.
Oh, yes. Way
too much fun with Mensis.
Mensurous cycle, was that what it became?
It became Menses, which started to get into it went overboard for me. However, they had a bunch of fun. They're people who are still in the Pro Wrestling Academy, teaming up with one of their trainers in Octarus, and then brother Steven, who is now the miraculous Milo Mira, and Jerry Rivera. So there's a lot of veteran talent in this group.
Yeah.
Helping out these 2 young kids.
Yeah, and it's good to see, because I mean that always does help out when you have the generations that can, take them along, show them the ropes and stuff like that, and usher them in. That is a great opportunity. So GGC picking up a big win here in this one. So the heels kind of picking up. And then we go right over. You were talking about Jerry Rivera there, Ed, taking on JT Dunn. He was accompanied by Sister Selena. Again, a member of the GGC, if I'm not mistaken, is what they mentioned here.
Yeah, she's brand new. I saw her in Malden last month, and they gave us no idea who she was. Like, there wasn't a backstage vignette before it. She just randomly started coming out with them. Okay. So I'm like, oh, apparently she's new.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's now part of the GGC.
And I wrote down here, Jerry Rivera, I'm not sure how much time he's had in the ring, but he looks the part and he acts the part very well. I think this guy is somebody to keep your eyes on. I think that, and again, even we'll find out at the end of this when JT Dunn himself is putting Jerry Rivera over at the end of this matchup. Like, fantastic. I want to pay more attention to this guy because he definitely caught my attention with the look and the way he worked inside the ring. Papa Smokes, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I've seen JT Dunn a couple of times when we've watched this previously. He's excellent. And they have here the match, the veteran versus the rookie kind of thing. And Rivera looks really good. He's got all kinds of potential. He's a smaller, lighter guy, but he uses his body well. He's got it all. He's got all his moves. He can do them perfectly. He's not doing the high difficulty moves quite yet. He's doing the less difficult ones, but perfectly. This is what I like to see, especially from someone coming out of probably their training center down there. He's looking good, and Dunn would have been calling this match and walking him through it to a certain extent. But wow, they had a banger, and I also like the way Dunn put over Rivera after the match, because if any of the fans missed that, here they get the veterans saying, hey, this is going to be the next guy. I can tell you right off the bat, this is the next guy. Dunn told us he sees the talent there, and we could all see it. Rivera looking good. One other thing in this match, too, was Sister Selena was getting perved on by one of the commentators quite seriously in this match, too. A little bit of humor at first, but it went on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it went way too long for my taste.
Well, this is like we were saying earlier in the show. It kind of like went from good commentary to slightly goofy and mistaken commentary to somebody fed these guys a few too many whiskeys by the time the night was getting old.
Yeah, Rich went a little, not Rich Palladino, of course. Deloise went a little bit overboard during this match. Jerry Rivera is just such an amazing guy. He's more veteran than you'd think, believe it or not. I think he's 3 or 4 years into the business at this point. He's not
still young though.
Anymore. Yeah, he's still new, but he's not. Milo Mira, who was part of the group that we saw earlier, Milo Mira's first match a year and a half ago was with Jerry Rivera, who was considered the veteran in that match at a couple years, and that's why they paired them up together.
Yeah.
So that's just a fun thing I learned from a Milo Mira interview a few weeks ago. Jerry Rivera is just fantastic. I love the work he does. The one thing we didn't get to see tonight for Jerry Rivera is that his work on the microphone is as good as his work in the ring, which is as good as his look. This guy is top-notch, ready to go. He's very slow-natured in his delivery, but he understands the gimmick that he's running. And it's very, very good. JT Dunn is, of course, that well-traveled, long-term pro. He's worked Wrestling Revolver. He's worked, TNA Explosion. Like, this guy's done it all in the indie scene. He goes everywhere, does everything. He's fantastic. He's the only 4-time world champion in chaotic history. He is the benchmark for all of them. And as he said in the thing, he was considering winding down. He was considering stopping wrestling, but then the GGC got involved, and now he has a new mission to make their life miserable. And it's fun that we got the tease that JT's going back in the tag team division, because JT Dunn used to run a faction called the Unit, which included Ace Romero, Trigger the OG, and Danny Miles, one of the guys that he's now fighting against. Well, Trigger wants no part of the tag team division, so it sounds like if he's going back in the tag division, it might be Ace Romero's time to come back home, which will always make me happy because I always love it when it's big boy season.
Big boy season's always a good thing. Yeah, JT Dunn is great. And again, if you want to help make JT Dunn's life better, head on over to Twitch, where you can find JT Dunn's channel and go ahead and follow and support what JT Dunn's got going on. Gentlemen, up next, we have finally got it. It is the Royal Rules Tag Team title match. And I will read out the following declaration of rules from the Monarchy. This match, again, Ed, you mentioned to us in conversation about the 3 rules that had already been implemented. Those start with no closed fists. Submissions are only to be verbal. No tap outs will be applied. The king and queen can pin their opponents at any time. So it doesn't matter who's legal. Either one of them can go ahead and pin the opponent. And the new implementation into these rules is the pump kick is now illegal. This is hilarious. This is great. And I just want to say this matchup not only was great, but the pairing of Livia and Spike I thought was not only good in the ring, but a great visual as well too. Because one dresses kind of all in white and the other one all in black, you kind of have this image of the good and the evil, the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other kind of thing, the good and the bad kind of thing. The visual is fantastic. Their work is good. I think there is something to be said with those two as a tag team moving forward, if that was of interest there at all. Great work from the two of them. Fantastic work from the Monarchy. Like I said, they have become quickly one of my absolute favorites. Millie asking, is it just under JT Dunn? Ed, are you double checking that for us? Because we can always throw that up in the comment section here for everybody to go ahead and follow. Fantastic, dude. But yeah, Pop Smokes, while Ed's looking that up, I want to get your thoughts on the Monarchy, this tag team title defense, and of course their opponents, Livia and Spike, as a tag team.
Yeah, great stuff. And this was one of the big matches that the card was kind of built around, with a little mini tournament leading up to this. So there was this was a big match on the card. The fans had been annoyed by the Monarchy the entire show. They had been insulted by them, spoken down to, and all the rest of it. The fans were ready to see the Monarchy get their asses kicked. And then when presented with an interesting tag team, you know, Munson, you and I have talked in this podcast before about the kind of archetypes of tag teams in wrestling. There's the matching pair that look the same and wear the same trunks. And then there's the mismatched pairs, the Andre and DiBiase kind of, where they have completely different skill sets and looks and all that stuff, but they complement each other perfectly. That's kind of, or the Owen Hart and Yokozuna type idea. That's kind of almost what this was. You brought up the difference in presentation, the blonde hair and the white gear, and then the dark hair and the black gear. And yes, they do kind of wrestle differently too. Spike's got that harder edge to her, and Livia looks more like a sort of a pure baby face type thing. So interesting, cool. And that's one of the things that is about a tag team that's like kind of one of those intangibles. When they're a mismatched pair like that, you don't know what kind of magic might come out of this team. They might be better than they appear. They might have more chemistry than you're expecting. That kind of turned out to be the case with this. Got a great match out of it. The champions got a stiff defense to their titles, but also the fans got a little peek at what might be a new tag team or a new pairing of some kind. Put it out there. See how the fans react. See how they like them. You could tell that this crowd was giving them a fairly positive reaction. Now Chaotix bookers can kind of sit down and think, well, that went pretty good. Maybe we should try these two out in the future, or not, or whatever the idea happens to be. But you tried it out and you put it out there, and you could see the reaction in real time.
Well, and the fans clearly hate the Monarchy so much that every close call in this matchup that there was for Spike and Livia to take the tag belts, the fans were on the edge of their seats and cheering for it, which is a testament to both sides of the fence. So, yeah, Ed, I want your thoughts on this one. This was great.
This was great. I love Livia. I love Spike. I think they're doing great work. Just in general, because they're both relatively new to me. Oh, the Monarchy is just... Oh. They're such great heels. Like we talked, I showed Bobby off air last week to pitch this. I showed him BMT's promo promoting this match that was on the Chaotic socials. And Bobby's like, I'm sold. I love this guy. He is the perfect epitome of this heel work that he's doing because he does it so well and they buy into this. And this whole monarchy thing is new because they called themselves originally just the King and Queen of New England. Like she's apparently in the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and they call themselves the King and Queen. And then when they won the tag titles, they took it a step further by taking the old prestigious tag titles and throwing them in the garbage and coming out with these new created. I'll pull up the picture again. These new self-created monarchy specialized tag team championships.
Love it. Love it.
Which, if you look closely, has a picture of BMT and Ariel on them in the middle.
Does it really?
That black thing that almost looks like Dr. Doom is BMT with the stupid hair. Yeah,
that's even better. I didn't know that. Now I love it even more.
I love
so creepy.
And the best part is that BMT works so well with the lady wrestlers, and Ariel works so well with the men because they're constantly doing this. Normally, Ariel has to bring her game up. I think it's fun when I get to see BMT be a little bit more funny, be a little less solid because he only has to base for a smaller lady at this point. So now he doesn't have to be as strong. He doesn't have to be as tough. And he gets to be really funny. Yeah. And he does such a great job at being a funny asshole. So good. I love to hate the monarchy. Yeah. Love to hate them. I can't wait for this reign to end, but at the same time, I don't want it to end.
Keep it going for a while. They've got something special going on. I really enjoyed this matchup again. And like we said, like if there is potential to build up Spike and Olivia and everything, it might be in the best interest to have them go against other teams from Chaotic and build that up if they go that direction. And inevitably that could be the team that topples the monarchy. They were close on several occasions, and commentary even making the mention at one point in time that for a team that was put together at the last minute, they ended up collectively coming together very, very well in this matchup and were within just seconds of being able to topple the tag champions and take the belts away.
And I love the spot where they have Spike to do the bump kick and Livia gets in front of her and tells her no. Don't bump kick.
Oh, it was fantastic. No, this is so well put together. And again, probably I would say, I mean, we're talking about that main event. The main event is solid too. That's coming up here right away. But I think because of how much the monarchy put into this and how interesting they are, I was drawn into this even a little bit more. So this was just absolute fantastic. And it didn't take away from the main event, which is even better. The fact that this could be so good on its own and that your main event comes in and does its thing and still brings the people home like it did is a nice touch. So let's head over to that right now. We're talking about the main event of the evening. This match scheduled for one fall.
One fall.
There we go. And it's for is it the Chaotic Championship?
Chaotic Wrestling Heavyweight Championship.
All right. You got your champion, the Smoke Show, Ricky Smokes, taking on John Walters. Again, another in the Smokes family line over there. We got Papa, we got Ricky, we had Julius Smokes, who was on a show here with us at one point. You all must be related distantly down the line, but I'm going to start with you, Ed. Give us a little bit of background into these two gentlemen. WWE ID'd Ricky Smokes, the champion, coming out there to defend. A little bit more about Walters as well, too. I want to hear from the expert.
Ricky Smokes is fantastic. He's an up-and-coming cocky heel. He thinks he's great. He thinks he's fantastic. And unfortunately, he succeeds an awful lot, so he gets that pride. He is a 2-time Chaotic Countdown winner, which is their version of like a Royal Rumble, which got him. So this is funny. Theirs gets him the opportunity to call his shot for a championship match. So their Royal Rumble gives you essentially a Money in the Bank.
Okay.
And so after JT Dunn had a weaponized steel cage match against Danny Miles and defeated Danny Miles to retain his championship, Ricky Smokes came out and went ahead and beat JT Dunn to steal the title from him. So at the last show, they had their one-on-one rematch between the two, which was fantastic. Ricky's had 2 chaotic shows named after him. They've had 2 the Smoke shows
Nice.
as part of their like naming of the shows. So very nice for him. He's a former tag team champion with Mortar, which we'll get into in just a bit. Shot Battle Royal sounds familiar. Yes and no. Like it's so fun. It's just all wrestling steals from other wrestling. I mean, you guys do it up at PPW, you know it.
Of course we do.
Everybody does. But no, Ricky Smokes is just utter fantastic. Former chaotic tag team champion with Mortar, former chaotic New England champion when that championship was taken off of him by Mortar. Again, we'll get to that, setting up a lot of things coming up.
Mhm.
And then there's John Walters, 25-year pro, trained by Killer Kowalski himself.
Oh yeah.
Framingham, Massachusetts. For those that remember old ROH, RJ Brewer is his name, and he's a former original Pure champion. He was the 3rd ever Ring of Honor Pure championship, which means he's going to be a fantastically favored wrestler from Auntie, because Auntie loves that Pure championship.
And I bet Kyle would be loving every second of this conversation right now when you're going on the history of
We're
ROH.
talking about old school Ring of Honor and RJ Brewer. But yes, 25-year veteran at 45 years old, getting back in the ring. And if I look at his matches, he's been doing... So he stopped wrestling in 2014, wrestled a match for a charity show for New Japan in 2016, and then wrestled a handful of matches in 2018. Worked Ring of Honor shows for AEW in 2020 and 2021. And then he's been slowly taking a show here or there, but not often. Like he's only wrestled since he stopped wrestling full time in 2014. He's wrestled 21 matches on Cage Match. So, I mean, that's 11 years, and he's had that's not a lot of matches, as Bobby can attest.
Yeah.
The body doesn't get that grit when you're only wrestling that many times. So to be as good as he is with that and wrestle for as long as he did in this match, it's just fantastic.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a great main event. Ricky Smokes is definitely someone to keep an eye on, and especially with the announcement that WWE Evolve hitting Tubi coming up in March and is going to involve people from the WWE ID program. It's going to be a great opportunity on free television for people to be able to check out some of these up and coming indie stars it will be essentially WWE's independent wrestling show, which I think has got my attention. I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of the ID prospects taking charge and making a name for themselves with that independent programming.
Yeah, you'll be able to see him
Smokes,
with his tag team partner, Brad Baylor and Swipe Right as their tag team name. Zeta Steel, who Astrid interviewed, is another WWE ID talent. Yep. And the best part is you're also seeing them with Performance Center recruits who are already getting training at the PC, and contracted WWE talent are also going to be in these matches. So It's a very interesting little show that Evolve is going into.
And of course, maybe our own Zoe Sager will be there before long too. Another WWE ID prospect. Yeah. But Papa Smokes, tell us about Brother Ricky and his main event here. What do you thought of it?
Yeah, nephew Ricky. We have to be related somehow. I didn't know I knew people in New England, but I'm pretty sure I do. Anyway, Ricky Smokes. I mean, as just like we were talking about with WWE ID, he's got to be loving life right now. I mean, he's on the verge of doing something big in his career. He's been doing great stuff in Chaotic, and he's got it all going on. He's kind of a chicken shit heel type of a guy, and this match was cool to both highlight Ricky Smokes' skill, but also build his character Smokes ran scared from Walters throughout this match. He knows he can't hang with a grappler like that, with a pure style catch can grappler as he is. So Smokes was having to do all kinds of shenanigans and change up his style a little bit just to get away from the greater skill of the graybeard veteran in Walters. Smokes did it perfectly. You got the idea. He doesn't believe he can win just straight up, so he's going to turn to his other skills and his other shenanigans to get through. Beautiful, beautiful. And just running the whole time, it gets the audience into a state of frustration, wanting to see, come on, if these guys actually fight, they actually go head to head, our babyface Walters is going to kick his ass, but Smokes ain't having that. He's also got the championship now, so he's going to defend that in any way he can. And in this match, he had lots of great spots and lots of offense, but I like it when a heel champion works that defensive style. It's not like he's working so hard to beat the challenger. He just won't allow himself to be pinned at all and lose that championship. So good, solid, long main event match here. And another situation where there's no downside for Smokes. He's probably not going to lose to the veteran who only wrestles occasionally here and there, but that veteran Walters is going to make him shine up like a brand new penny, but more like $1,000,000 in the case of Ricky Smokes.
Yeah. It was a great opportunity to allow both guys to do their thing. Again, you allowing a veteran to come out and work really well like he knows how to do, and allow one of these up-and-coming talents to have that good rub against somebody who's got that much depth and experience to them. But then we get to after this one, because after the match, Ricky Smokes has won. He refuses to shake hands with Walters, but then he meets face-to-face with Mortar. Mortar, who is going to be getting a shot at the belt at Cold Fury. And this is now face-to-face with the champ himself, Ricky Smokes. This one on paper looks like it is going to be an absolute dynamite battle between these two individuals. I am excited for this. This was a great build-up to it. Have a Mortar come out. He was heavily featured throughout this entire night in such a great way as well, too. He looks like $1,000,000. Ricky Smokes looks like $1,000,000. And now I'm excited for that big main event come Cold Fury. But back to you quickly, Papa Smokes, and I want to get Ed's thoughts on Mortar and Ricky Smokes.
For sure. And Mortar seems to be one of the big guys in this company that's done big stuff before. He's got the fans behind him. At the closing of this particular match, they had Mortar come out and look very, very dominant. And again, Smokes backing down and getting the hell out of there. So what they've kind of setting up here is they're kind of putting Mortar in what looks to be an advantageous position. He looks to have all the momentum coming into his championship match with Smokes next time. So the ball is in Ricky Smokes' court now. What is he going to do against this wild animal Mortar that looks like he's got all the momentum and coming in strong into the next card for this title match? The bookers have some work to do, but I have the feeling that Ricky Smokes is going to be one step ahead of Mortar in some way, unless they decide to switch the belt.
You bet. And before we go to you, Ed, I just want to mention we are also broadcasting over on social media right now. And our good friend Bobby Petito, Bobby Stats, has joined us up in the house. And I want to say, Bobby, happy birthday, our friend Bobby.
Oh.
Happy birthday to you from all of us here at our local establishment. Thank you for all the love and support you always provide to us here. So, but now over to you, Ed. I want to get your thoughts here. Mortar and Ricky Smokes.
Oh, I can't wait. They've been setting this story up, and it's this great long-term storytelling from guys that went into training at the same time, came out of training at the same time, worked as a tag team, and they've been at that rise at the exact same time. So it's like Ricky Smokes gets a little bit of an edge, and then Mortar comes in and takes it away. And now Ricky Smokes has got a little bit of an edge being a world champion. And here's Mortar to try to take it away. Like, it's just this great storytelling of two people who just know each other. And this main event is going to be great because it's the converging styles of the chicken shit heel versus the I'll go through anybody babyface of Mortar. No gods, no country, only Mortar.
Yeah.
March
I get
28th cannot come fast enough. I have my front row seat already. I am very excited
yeah.
for Cool Fury.
Nice.
Damn.
But we got
Oh,
two
yeah.
more stops ahead of that. We've got the stop in Tewksbury on the 21st of February, and then Watertown on the 7th. So we'll be back to Watertown where this show was held on the 7th of March. And Bobby's very happy because one of his favorite MLW superstars is returning to Chaotic Wrestling for the Tewksbury show at Hallowed Be Thy Name. You want to go ahead and talk about who's coming back to my Chaotic realm?
It's Becca Forever, man. Becca Forever's coming to
All right.
Chaotic Wrestling again. Fantastic. Can't wait. Haven't seen Becca in a long time. It seems like too long of a time, so can't wait to see what Becca's going to be up to at that card.
Yeah, and they've also announced already that Trigger, the OG, versus Octarus for the Chaotic Wrestling New England Championship is on that card as well. So that's the first match to be announced. So we got two things already set for the 21st. It's going to be a fun show. And remember, the great thing about this is all of the shows are free on Twitch
Yes.
as they broadcast. And if
Yes.
you want to throw them a Prime sub or you want to throw them a paid sub, you get a major portion of the back catalog. Right now, they're going through on Friday nights. They're going through old Cold Furies in the lead up to Cold Fury. So this week will be Cold Fury 3, I believe. So going ahead and tossing them a couple bucks to be able to watch these if you can't watch them on the Friday nights when they happen, you can watch them whenever you want. They have the Twitch broadcasts. And the back catalog goes all the way back to 2021 and like 2019, pre-pandemic stuff, all kinds of great stuff there. So, but yes, the Becca is indeed coming back.
I'd bring earplugs respectfully, of course. How could you? I mean, Becca, the international pop sensation herself.
Oh,
like,
man.
have you not heard those wonderful music songs that she's got there? I mean, maybe we will get a new exclusive one at the Chaotic event too.
She's been running Becca is God at all the shows that she's been doing locally since she came back from her injury. So
I can't wait.
Yes.
I really, you know what? I really enjoyed watching this, and I kind of want to keep this momentum going a little bit with Chaotic. I want to invest more time in watching Chaotic. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Papa Smokes, but I think we can add Chaotic to our list of companies to cover here on Ring Respect.
Absolutely. And from the first time I watched this, when Ed and I covered one of their shows last year, yeah, I was hooked. It was just like a couple of those New Zealand companies we watched. It's just a good show. They set it up well. They have good talent. And I'm invested. I want to watch more. I was going to say also, you know that Chaotic is one of the Cadillacs of independent wrestling in the States, because Ed spoke previously about some of the their alumni that come back, such as Sasha and John Cena and all those guys. But Chaotic has an indie appearance by Vince McMahon. Not only an appearance, but he took a bump at an indie show. You know you're the top indie company when you've got Vince making an appearance there and taking a bump.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe then, not so much now, but
show, yeah, that was a crazy time in the company when you had John Cena being a special guest referee for Chaotic Main Event. And
Yeah.
Vince McMahon himself, the evil bastard himself, came out and took an AA through a steel chair.
wild. You never know what you're going to get at a Chaotic event, but I'm looking forward to reviewing more. And Ed, as
Yep.
often as possible, we would love to have you back when we do the Chaotic reviews.
Just let me know. I can get you dates and times of shows so we can go ahead and set these up and do these as we want.
Perfect.
Awesome.
And not only that, I also want to mention, you mentioned that we should reach out to some of the chaotic wrestlers. Maybe we can do that when we do the reviews of the show. I have some of them on for an interview at the beginning while we review the show afterwards, something along those lines. Let's bring more love to the side of chaotic wrestling and highlight what's great in your area, the area of pro wrestling, Ed, because we love it. We absolutely love it. And,
I can't wait for Olay Day in Boston at some point when I get to get you guys here and I get to go to a wrestling show at Papa Smokes and I get to get Papa Smokes a beer.
Yeah.
Right. That's the number one rule.
Plan. I love this plan.
Definitely got to make it happen sooner rather than later, of course, gentlemen. But I think it's about that time. We're definitely over the hour. We're going to make way because the Honor Ramble is going to be coming up in just a little bit at quarter after the hour-ish, whatever anti-time ends up working out to be. But that's when they'll kick off tonight. You can check out the Honor Ramble as they go and discuss tonight's Ring of Honor show. But in the meantime and in between time, Ed, why don't you tell the people what you got coming up and where they can find you?
For the end of this week, we're putting on a special Marvel talk this weekend. It sounds like it's going to be a Saturday evening show. Me and Andre are very excited to talk about Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, a show we weren't sure was going to be as great as it is. We're both loving it, so we're going to go ahead and talk about it at the halfway point. We're very excited for that, so we'll probably be doing a show this weekend. Look out for that. And then next week is the week of OLED. OLED's going to be here all week, it seems like, because we've got Vengeance Day coming up next weekend. So taking over on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we'll be recording a special pre-show with a special guest that's definitely something to behold. I can't wait to make the announcement on Tuesday. We finally have final confirmation that this is official and we're doing it. So we're announcing it on Tuesday night. It's going to be fun. I'm very excited for that. Thursday night, I get to go see the new Captain America Brave New World. That's opening up. Saturday night, we're going to have the Vengeance Day post show with me and Mark Talks Wrestling. Mark Talks Wrestling. Oh boy. Yes, finally.
Yeah.
We've been sitting on this, what is it, 2-3 weeks we've been sitting on this name, Bobby? I think since Ashford told us this was the possibility for this one.
I heard the rumblings, but it's good to know it's official.
It is official, so we're very excited for that. And then, of course, that Sunday, me, Andre C., and a special guest are going to be talking all about Captain America Brave New World on our Marvel Talk episode. So next week, you're going to get your full fill of OLED Ed fries next week.
Because he's not here, it's okay. Mark Talks Wrestling. Boo. When he sponsors our show, though, hey, mate. But that's where you can find Ed. But Papa Smokes cost me a lot of money, and that beautiful ticker hits the top there. Let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, well, as far as projects go, there's just the trip through the territories next week featuring Puerto Rico with special guest Astrid with you and I, Bobby. That's going to be a whole bunch of fun. Mm-hmm. Other than that, Prairie Pro Wrestling on February 22nd on the Saturday night. I'll be there too. But until then, I can be found at Elon Musk's free speech wonderland known as X. I am at Smokes_Papa and on Twitch at Papa_Smokes_.
That's where you can find Heel Papa over there, but myself, Bobby Munson, down below. That is the ticker where you will find all my social media as well. What do I got coming up? Well, again, every Saturday with that man right there, but to the other direction, Papa Smokes. We're calling all the shots of Prairie Pro Wrestling over on YouTube. There's a new match released every single Saturday, so go and check out our back catalog and follow along every Saturday with the two of us. This Sunday, Point of View will not be at its regularly scheduled time of 11 a.m. Eastern time because we have a very, very special edition of Point of View happening. In fact, it is going on at about 5:30 my time. I can't remember, 6:30 Eastern or something like that. Ed,
we'll make sure we update you with all the times as we get closer.
We'll figure it out. But anyway, myself, Ed, Andre, and Mark are going to be live, doing a live watch along of the big game, the Superb Owl, as we can't say the actual name leading into it or on the day anyway, at least anyway. But yes, we are going to be watching the big
NFL don't
game.
like it. The NFL don't like it when you say the name of the game.
Fair enough. But we will be watching along right here on the channel. So make sure to join us this Sunday evening for that fun and excitement with the four of us. And then, of course, you can always check out my work over on Our Local Establishment. Over across YouTube and Twitch and all social media is where you're going to be able to find us. We got lots of great stuff going on. A lot of great contributors from all across the globe doing all things pop culture. Maybe wrestling's your jam. Maybe music's your jam. Maybe movies is your jam. We got something for everybody coming out every single day over on the YouTube side. Make sure to like.
Don't forget the Mother Trucking Post Show. The Mother Tucking Post Show.
The Trucking Post Show. That's right. Yeah. Television reviews, all sorts of, we're going to, not only that, the Mother Tug and Post Show has got that one going, but there's also, I heard a rumor that there might be a group forming for a Traders Post Show once it's all said and done. So we got all sorts of cool stuff going on, and I can't wait for everybody to be a part of the wonderful things here at Our Local Establishment. But as always, that's going to be it for us this week. Thank you for joining us here at Ring Respect Radio, and until next Thursday, take care. We'll see you then.